Disclaimer: this video is for educational and historical purposes only. BlackRocks Cheyenne. See her unique behavior and temperament. At 11 months we took her to some locals to roll her. They had a start at 18-month-old. Right away Cheyenne knew what was happening, and in 6 minutes she already had her opponent in bad shape, and they had to pick her up, arguing that there was no way she was 11 months, and hadn't been to school yet. She was next schooled at 14 months old with a good Jeep Red Boy Jip. She behaved exactly the same way, but this time the opponent touched her face but she never turned. 2 months later I was challenged by Paco from Saltillo at 14 kilos, but I told him my Jip was 14.5 kilograms. At this point in time I did not have a lot of experience conditioning in the fast lanes, so I second-guessed the weight a bit. But I signed the contract at 14.250 kilograms. The day arrived and Cheyenne was 50 grams under, and made the weight. The match started and Cheyenne stunned me when she broke her rival's leg 5 minutes in. She was a demolition machine, a hard puncher to the shoulders, chest and throat, a weapon that would be lethal in her career. At 20 minutes her rival was destroyed and almost done. On that day she earned her first win in very impressive fashion, beating a veteran fast lane dogman. Sierra was RIP a few moments later from a broken trachea. During our team celebration, Mr. Campos from Monterrey said that he had the medicine for our little Jip. I only responded by saying that I would like to enjoy the moment and we could discuss it later. Mr. Campos has more than 2 decades in this beautiful sport, and beating him would be good for our curriculum. At that moment in time we were hooked for Ch. Candy second and traveled to Monterrey 2 months later where she won. Once again Mr. Campos was there and reminded me that he had the one that could whip Cheyenne. Okay, I tell him let's do it. He says in Monterrey, and I remind him that he had said he would beat us on our home court. We agreed at 14.150 kilograms, and set the date. I had met Evolution Kennels a few days earlier and D-Town gave me some lessons on conditioning. He taught me how to properly finish my keep, and added different exercises. For the show versus Mr. Campos she would be better prepared. On the day of the show they both made weight at 14.130 kilograms. The Jips are released, and Gata comes out like a steamroller, getting into our stifle and chest. I didn't see Cheyenne doing anything she had done in the past. Gata wouldn't let her. Cheyenne started to dance, grabbing an ear, and shaking while being pressured and cornered. Standing on her hind legs she would jump on top of Gata to get out of the corner, and kept dancing for an intense 10 minutes. After the ballet lesson Gata started opening her mouth to pull in air. Right away Cheyenne gets low and hits her hard on the shoulder, and dark blood starts leaking out. Gata is limping, and Cheyenne is getting in her chest and finally gets her on her back. Immediately she goes for her throat, spinning her in circles on the ground while Gata starts to protest because we are trying to finish her. Gata is out of hold, and I call a turn, but the ref makes a mistake and calls it on Cheyenne for some reason. At that instant Cheyenne pulls out another dirty trick, one that we would become accustomed to. She likes the chest, loves the throat, and now she went straight to the soft belly for the KO. Oh no. Gata couldn't believe it and shot clear green fluid out, signs of internal damage. Gata didn't want to be there any longer, so I handle Cheyenne, and she flies across on her scratch. Gata wants to run, so I handle Cheyenne once again, and now it's Gata's turn to scratch. Gata comes out but to the wrong corner? She didn't want anything to do with our little locomotive. Mr. Campos concedes, and takes her out of the square before the count is up. In just 17 minutes Cheyenne took apart her rival, who was said to be invincible, and would finish us. About 8 months went by and Cheyenne got loose, and gets into it with the much bigger Ace Candy. Cheyenne took a lot of damage, so she was rested for a long time, after which she was hooked into a very good team, De La Cruz Kennels. I was told they were bringing a sister to Ch. Jifa, but a few days later they called to pay the forfeit. Oh well. I decided to breed her to Ch Zorro since she was in heat. After the breeding I thought she wouldn't be a good mother since she was so dog aggressive and restless, and breeding her to Zorro was extremely difficult. When she is walked she lifts her leg high in the air, and marks every few feet, more than most male dogs. Strange. What we like to call machora. Despite that, Cheyenne ended up being a great mother like all the Tatis Ram Jips have been. A while later at a convention my friend Hirocho mentions that he is being challenged with a very good 4x from killing Jip Ch. Capulina, that has a very hard mouth. So I tell him that I have a good one at that weight and she is one of my favorites, but I will lend her to him anyway, because I know he is a serious dogman, and he will give. It is all. At that time I could not travel south, because I had Chino, a 2XW at the time of this writing, hooked for his first in Baja. Jarocho did a great job with her keep. The only drawback is that the day of the show Cheyenne is in day 10 of her heat. Gyps are released, and Ch. Capulina does her thing, and hits Cheyenne in the chest, hard. Cheyenne takes damage that most would have ran from, but Cheyenne also liked to dish it out, and Capulina doesn't tolerate the hits as well to the shoulders, chest, and Cheyenne's specialty, the throat. Like always, once the victim is laying down straight for the throat and once again finishing in the soft belly in spectacular fashion, 30 minutes was enough to leave Ch. Capulina 4XW collapsed in her corner, and if she would have come out, Cheyenne would have finished her work of art. Cheyenne was now a champion? Cheyenne is rested for a few months because of a deep wound to her chest. We then hook Cheyenne against Bernal from Mexico City, who is a gentleman and good person with many years of experience as a dogman. She begins her keep for the show in Veracruz, and with 3 weeks remaining the location is changed to Mexico State due to security issues. This changes my plans, and I can't make it, so 15 days before the show I send her to my friend Jarocho to finish and handle her once again. With our luck, Cheyenne came into the square during her heat cycle once again. This time against a gyp that hit the face extremely hard, a daughter off of Jordan Rom to his sister Nina Mala. This time her cycle affected her more than her previous match, and she got off to a slow start. At about 14 minutes things finally start to get serious, and Cheyenne is having a hard time figuring out the smart muzzle style of her rival. But she finally gets her chance, and destroys her in 1 hour, making her leave the pit almost RIP. Cheyenne took a lot of damage to her face, but nothing too serious. Back safe at BlackRocks, we begin to care for her in preparation to breed her, but we were one step away from her grand championship when our friend Magna calls, and tells us there is a bad one Cheyenne's weight. Magna had a freak gyp that had killed one in 8 minutes at a show, but for her second she lost in 20 minutes into the bad one he was calling about. Dulce 2XW was calling Ch. Cheyenne to compete against her, so we obliged. Cheyenne's championship, and her next 2 were done in a 6-month span. Once again, like clockwork, Cheyenne decides to come in heat before her grand championship. What the hell is up with that? This time it only took 24 minutes, as Dulce does not endure the machine digging into her shoulders, causing massive leaks before hitting her sweet spot in the throat. Dulce knew her time was up if she stayed there and decided to make a run for it. On that day Cheyenne just went for a vacation stroll in Mexico City, and she brought back her grand championship, making it look easy. When we got back home a few days later, Cheyenne was still in heat, and we battle-crossed her to our Red Boy stud T-Lac. We were hooked at the same weight with Cheyenne's half-sister at the big convention in Baja. There were rumors coming from the West Coast that Cheyenne would be killed, but they didn't know we weren't even taking her. The rumors kept coming, so we decided to give them what they wished for, and we gave Cheyenne a shot so she wouldn't get pregnant. I began to work her, and she was already in excellent form, and health, cruising toward the big convention in Baja where Cheyenne would be number 17 out of 20 matches. We are told we were facing a short-order killer and from SIC Kennels down from Ch. Paco. We were happy to have good competition, and we knew many people there were anxious to see Ch. Cheyenne dethroned. The SIC Kennels crew were gentlemen and good sports before and after the show. Animals are released and the rival pushes very hard and fast to the stifles, and right away we get a bleeder on our rear, but not even a minute goes by, and the leak was plugged due to Cheyenne being in such good shape and strong. We control the opponent by the ear, scruff, and muzzle at a very intense and fast pace with adrenaline at 100%. Cheyenne would clamp hard on the back of the neck and scruff while Daisy was still trying to go to the back door. I saw that the rival already had big contusions on her scruff, and she slowed down a little. That's when Cheyenne got in the shoulder and really touched her. Once she was able to get to the throat, Daisy was not the same, as she had finally met a rival that could hit as hard as her, straight for your life. Like all her previous matches, Cheyenne lays her down and starts going in circles connected to her throat. Duro shake Cheyenne? I could hear the screaming from the huge crowd with everyone hyped up to the max. I call a turn on the other and it is granted. Cheyenne once again slams her down by the throat while the other is now desperate, and Cheyenne prepares the house specialty and goes for the belly. Duro mommy, duro, I tell her. Right away the green fluid shoots out and Daisy starts complaining. I make a handle and take Cheyenne to her corner. Daisy comes out on her scratch, and Cheyenne meets her on their side and steamrolls her, and this intimidation makes her jump into the second row seats. Cheyenne was making history. Many folks knew about her and were now witnessing that BlackRocks Kennel is for real and has quality animals. On that particular night the killer from Cali only lasted 17 minutes with Cheyenne. The best in show was not even voted on, it was automatic for GR. CH. Cheyenne 6XW1XBIS? Today she is resting at BlackRocks waiting to be bred to the supernaturally game Nazi 1XW, and enjoy her retirement. Cheyenne has always been a super active gyp. When it's time for the keep, the Tatis blood comes through with great physical specimens that love to work. I would like to thank my team for being consistent and working so hard. My wife, Alejandra, who is a fundamental part of my conditioning program by preparing all of the meals during the keeps. Without her it would be very difficult. I dedicate this one to my father and mother who always supported me. And my brother.